And I'd love to know, what is the biggest difference between the man who walked on the set of Lost for the first time 20 years ago and the man who walked on the set of Duster? Your understanding of the business, of acting, of life. How do those two guys compare?
Wow, that's a big question.
Where we're going, we don't need roads.
Have I been a Jake before? I think something tells me I've played a Jake before. Hi, Jake.
Hi,
Hey
Jake.
guys, how we doing?
Doing good.
Good.
I love this show so much. And I always tell people I do junkets every day. You can't always tell everyone you love their stuff. Sometimes you just go, hey, that got made. That's a thing.
That
But
got made.
it exists. There was a beginning.
It is out there.
But I truly do love this. So thank you both for taking the time.
Thank you.
sir.
Thanks for those words.
Of course, Mr. Holloway, I'm going to start with you. Obviously, goes without saying, it's been over 20 years since you first worked with J.J. Abrams on Lost, which I still believe to this day is the greatest show of all time. Not only do I love seeing you guys reunite, it's really amazing how wildly different these projects are. And I'd love to know, what is the biggest difference between the man who walked on the set of Lost for the first time 20 years ago and the man who walked on the set of Duster? Your understanding of the business, of acting, of life. How do those two guys compare?
Wow, that's a big question. So much has happened since then. I've grown up. I have children and marriage and the life, and have gone through all of that. So I think that the difference for me, it's gone from kind of a hungry fear based thing when you start to a real gratitude. I have a real gratitude for the things I've been able to do as an artist and experience artistically, and to work again with JJ and Latoya Morgan on such a amazing project. It's just, I just feel gratitude now more than anything.
I love that. That's a nice, like, when peace can come with something is always a cool thing.
Yes.
For both of you, I often hear actors talk about the value of their co-stars, that acting is reacting, and that your own performance can be made better if your co-star is really bringing it. But as actors, and this might be a stupid question, I've always wanted to know, like, how an object can affect your performance. In this case, the gorgeous Plymouth Duster. I know it's an object. I know it's not alive, but can something like a car have the power to affect your performance in the way that a fellow actor can?
Absolutely. And especially these cars, because they're 1972 Dusters. They're quirky. They have I mean, they have their own personality. I have to get to know each one. We have four of them on set, so they're all different. This one's spongy brakes. This one's super overpowered. This one does a weird thing with the steering wheel. So it's a real relationship I have. I talk to them. They're my girls, my girlfriends.
Any
It's
private
amazing.
conversations you're willing to share with the sort of things that you say to the girls?
Absolutely not. No, don't kiss and tell.
I'll ask later. I'll ask them.
She'll ask them later. They
Yeah.
talk to her. Yeah.
Fair enough. But also, what I love most about your character is that she's not someone who has the luxury of things handed to her, and she doesn't always do what she's told because she knows that she can't always do what she's told. I'd love to know, was there ever a moment in the business as you were finding success in acting where you said, listen, I don't care what I'm being told. I know the right thing to do. I have to do this my way. And it actually really worked out for you.
Yeah. I think there's this belief, yes, early on in the business where, you are just trying to make a living. You're trying to pay your rent. You're trying to eat, you're trying to pay your phone bill. And then there's this sort of like point where it's like, okay, I'm doing okay. I could say no to things if I wanted to. Maybe I shouldn't, but I could. And actually, when Duster came around, I don't think I've shared this, but just before I got this audition, um, I turned something down, and it was a show. I think it's since come out, but I decided to not do it. And then Duster came around maybe like a couple of weeks later, and So that was the right decision ultimately. And, it might not, may not make sense to other people. It might not be the best move according to, your reps or whatever, but, you got to make the decisions for yourself and put your foot down when you believe it's time to do that.
I love that. Josh will tell us what he said to the car if you'll tell us what show you turned down.
I can't do that. That's
not with that attitude.
Kiss and tell. Can't kiss and tell.
I won't. Yeah. Maybe one day, not today.
Can I say thank you for turning that down, because you are absolutely perfect in this, and I'm grateful for sometimes the power of saying no and the value of saying no. I think is really important. Mr. Holloway, if you'll indulge me a nerdy question, I mentioned that I believe with every fiber of my being that Lost is the greatest television series of all time, and I have another belief, which is that the Lost finale is the greatest television finale of all time. Nothing drives me crazier when people talk to me about the finale and they just misinterpret it. And tomorrow is the 15th anniversary of the Lost finale, May 23rd, 2010. And I would just love to know 15 years later, your perspective on the end, because I just think it's one of the most beautiful pieces of art ever created.
Well, my God, I'm going to agree with you, sir. I love your enthusiasm with that. And I never really understood what happened in the end anyway. So to me, it was great. I was like, sure, this is great. We all went up to heaven, or we were all in. I don't know.
I haven't finished.
I don't know really what happened. And I've been asked this so many times, you'd think I would call Damon and Carlton and get the real story. But I think it was a great finale. And, that was an impossible thing to wrap up, but they did it somehow. So I love your enthusiasm. Dig it.
It's a terrible pun, but you guys landed the plane really quick. I think I love how well you deliver F-bombs in this show. And it made me think, like, is there a moment that you just think, God, if Sawyer, I know it was on ABC, it was on network TV. If Sawyer could have had an F-bomb anywhere in the show, where do you think it would have been best delivered?
God, I don't know.
You could have that alliteration with like freckles, like
right.
You could do that.
There you go. We'll use that.
That's a good one. Guys, if you can't tell, I love you. I love this show. I know you had limited time today, and I beg to be a part of this. So thank you guys for letting me in, and just seriously continue to kick ass. I need 1,000 more seasons of this. Thank you truly for your time.
Right on. Thank you so much, Jake.
All right, guys. We'll see you.
Bye.
Where we're going, we don't need roads.